Hey, welcome back. What if I can't taste what's on the label? Byron asks, what if I can't taste whatever you're saying? Will I be able to get my money back? No, fam. No, sorry. But let's talk about why you may not be tasting the same thing. Now, the fundamental reason is taste is subjective. So even though I go buy a whiskey that's maybe some Pappy Van Winkle, thousands of dollars whiskey, and I don't taste everything that they're saying, or I don't agree that it's like the best tasting whiskey ever, yeah, they're probably not going to give me my money back either, okay? So just to make you feel a little bit better. Now, why would we not be tasting the same things? So to kind of illustrate that, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, how important are tasting notes on the label? How helpful is it? It's not even how important they are. When a company is putting tasting notes on a bag of something, they're just trying to describe to you like, hey, this is what you can expect. They're trying to just set up expectations, which I think in general is a really good idea. You want to kind of get a good idea of what you're buying. Otherwise, it's kind of like a blind buy. You're like, ooh, what is this? They said apricot jam and I don't know, walnuts or something. Am I going to taste that? That sounds good. That sounds exciting. Let's give it a shot. And that's what the discovery of like specialty coffee or anything that's a little bit more specialty or more nuanced should be a discovery, and based on whoever is tasting that, you're going to get some kind of experience. Is it going to be like 100% the best experience ever? Maybe not, and maybe yeah, or maybe something mid in the middle, right? So we just don't know, and that's kind of like the chance of life, all right? So it's not that I wouldn't love to do that, like, oh, sorry, you didn't have, the same exact experience that I did with this coffee that I made for you. However, it's just really hard to get around that. One, we're not the same. We're not going to have the same taste buds. And now we know, I think a little bit now, that our DNA could be more maybe like salt forward. Like you may like more salty things, or you may like more sweet things, or maybe you don't taste sour or acidic things very well. There's that, the biological component. There's personal memory. So maybe I may love the taste of walnut, and I say something in there is like, awesome walnut skin. But maybe you have an aversion to walnut and you're like, oh, walnut? My grandma used to force feed me that when I was a kid, so now I hate walnut. Even though walnut, just as a taste flavor note alone, is neither here nor there. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just what it is. And I think that's what people should approach tasting new things, coffee, wine, whiskey, new food, anything like that, with that sort of curiosity, like, I wonder how, if Meg says this tastes like apricot jam, I wonder how I'll perceive that. Now, I've been thinking about this, like I said, and I'm like, how helpful can I be if I say some very intricate flavor notes like champagne, brut champagne, green strawberries, and milk chocolate? How helpful is that? Well, it depends on how well versed you are in tasting a lot of things where you could know the difference between those things. Now, we're all trying to like copy the big boys. What I have in front of me here is a sampler of coffees from Onyx Coffee. I always talk about Onyx, right? Finally, I get to have some Onyx coffee thanks to my sister who got this for me for Christmas. And it's a nice little pack of, I've got single origin in here, I've got some blends in here. And what I've been doing is, I'll read their label. Just like I would put a label on my coffee for you guys. They have a different way and range to let you know what you can expect from this coffee. They say traditional and then modern. Now, if I've never bought Onyx coffee before, or if I don't have any experience in specialty coffee, or I maybe don't go to a cafe a lot, I might not even know what the heck that even means. Okay. And then like I see all these dots, but I don't know if it's like this means it's max, because if I only had this and maybe I didn't have this to compare it to, where not all the dots are filled in, I'll go, oh, okay, so it's like a scale, and you kind of have to figure it out. But they're not really telling you that unless you, I don't know, maybe talk to a barista or something. And so this is what they'll say. This deeply sweet honey processed coffee from the northern Chalatenango, excuse that, mountains is one of our favorite annual offerings. Finca Santa Rosa is owned by our good friend Jorge Rivera. Concord grape is the most forward note in the cup and starts the journey of this complex flavor profile. We publish transparent pricing, grade, score, logistics, farm, culture, history, and brewing recipes on our website. So this whole thing, I said it's sweet. We know the process, it's honey processed. We know it's more modern, not traditional. And traditional meaning like diner coffee, okay? Modern being more like onyx. So this very onyx coffee is for what you can expect. They're telling it's from the mountains, okay? And that Concord grape is the most forward note in the cup. Okay, so they kind of boil it down to, is it sweet? Is it acidic? They let you know it's sweet. Okay, next thing, what are the flavor things? Well, the big one that you're going to get, we think, if I'm speaking for Onyx, is a Concord grape. What does that mean? Well, we don't know till we taste it. Now, I'm trusting that Onyx has very calibrated palates. So I'm going to trust that when they say Concord grape, and I taste that, and I go, okay, so that means it's Concord grape, based on Onyx, right? So in my, I guess, judgment of this coffee, maybe even comparison to other coffees that I'm tasting, or even my own, I'm just trying to catalog, okay, that grape is not particularly very bright or acidic. It is sweet. I thought when I was tasting this on my own, because what I'll do is I'll give it kind of like an overall score out of 10, just like on vibes, on what I'm feeling. I said 6 out of 10. Okay, so like above average. Needed to brew it a little bit stronger. I know that Onyx is not going to be a lot of like in your face sort of brews. Are going to be very delicate and very nuanced and have sort of like tea-like bodies, and I'm like kind of prepared for that. Okay, and so I told myself I needed to brew a little bit stronger for me to enjoy it, right? I needed to brew it a little bit stronger, kind of like a no sugar added grape jelly. To me, there was good acid in the cup, 7 out of 10. Sweetness, 4 out of 10. So for me, my judgment of this kind of doesn't match up with them. And maybe what's the reason why, which we can relate to you, Byron, is that my calibration is different than Onyx calibration. And your calibration, meaning like whatever your taste buds are set at based on all this other things that are going on, that are maybe not related to coffee, can still influence your taste calibration. I hope it makes sense. I'm just saying that there's so many factors that could make you taste something a certain way, and there's so many of my own factors that are making me taste this a certain way. Other things that could affect taste: brew temperature, brew strength, how it's brewed. Okay, so I'm doing strictly pour overs on all these. Type of grinder, grind size, grind consistency, all these things that sort of play into what you're actually tasting. Now, if the coffee is roasted well enough, I believe these little nuances and like water temperature and grind size and all that stuff, it may not really affect it. I think that could be really splitting hairs, and you'd have to be so attuned on your taste buds and in your palate to kind of pick up those nuances, or to have like a really like focused test for that. So I'm not saying that that is the sole reason why I'm not tasting certain things, or maybe why you're not tasting certain things, but it's definitely something to consider. Okay, so maybe all of those together being different, turns the needle or pushes the needle far enough to where there's a significant difference in what we're tasting. Now, be that as it may, how should I feel about tasting notes? I'll tell you how I feel. I'm not going to tell you how you should feel. You should just, if it's not something good or pleasant or a great experience, either from me or from another coffee roaster, then just like don't buy it from them again. That's okay. It's all right. You know what I mean? There's so much coffee out there, really great producers, really great roasters. It doesn't hurt my feelings, okay? How I'm going to deal with this sort of like information moving forward, because I have a similar sort of feeling about it. Not that I want to get my money back, but I'm more like, how can I help my customer get the information that they need so that they buy the right thing, or know that they don't need to buy this thing right now or something like that. And my thinking is going like, all right, you know how Onyx has this traditional modern? I feel like it's still a little vague. I feel like that's still a little highbrow, a little bit more upper echelon coffee, which that's not what I am. For sure, I just want to know how intense is the acidity and how intense is the sweetness. And then I want to get maybe one or two big flavor notes so that I could tell myself as a buyer or consumer, like, I think I'll enjoy this. And that's really it. Because if I were to read something that goes 8 on the sweetness, 2 on the acidity, I'll be like, that's not for me personally, So that's what I want to do, I think, moving forward. I don't know how that's going to change my design, but definitely I don't feel that really like complex tasting notes are that helpful, especially for my customers who maybe aren't playing in that arena, playing in that zone. And I don't necessarily see myself in that zone either. Like, I'm a home roaster, come from humble origins, and I really just want people to feed their curiosity and to find things that taste good, right? And my label needs to help facilitate that. So wine, whiskeys, sakes, food, if you're not tasting exactly what they tasted, there could be other factors as to why you're not tasting it. And taste is subjective. So it's really hard to just like have a guarantee around what you're going to taste, okay? Which I think is fair from a producer and consumer. I think that's fair. All right, that's today's video. Hope it helps. And I'll let you know what we end up doing moving forward on having more helpful labels. Okay, see ya.